top section coming up. And this is Doug Cornfield Jr. from the Corning Track Club, a senior. Alex Jordan from Virginia will be next up. Also a senior. Eli Ilg will be the third of the 16 runners here from Jackson Track and Field. Christopher Tardugno from New York, or Tardugno, I should say. And then Joey Carroll from Hebron. Sixth runner, Nolan Sutter from Kerry Tollefson's home state of Minnesota. Andrew Wilcox from Ohio, a senior. Jackson Hogshead from Longhorn Track Club. One of our top athletes here, Matthew Giardina, the junior from Massachusetts. Noah Bontrager from Indiana, sophomore. Jackson Shodell from Pennsylvania, the junior. Grady Lynn, a sophomore from Wisconsin. A number of underclassmen in this race. Colin Whitaker from Pennsylvania, the senior. Fine cross-country runner coming up next, if he's there. Yeah, so Gogarty scratched, so Adam Kingston, Pennsylvania, the junior. And then this is Adam Balowitz, an 8:56.95 2-miler. He was first in the Massachusetts Meet of Champion 2 miles. And so Adam Balowitz would be the nominal favorite here. Those intros, you gotta do a little extra work, Carrie, and run all the way across to the other side. And they're all waiting on Balowitz. Balowitz is sprinting across the field.
Get one last wind sprint in.
Boy, you're at a deficit if you're the guy that's introduced last. Don't be that guy. So, as you mentioned, Carrie, we don't get a lot of 5,000s run in the U.S. But Danny Simmons in Portland last weekend blasted a high school record by almost 9 seconds, running 13:25.86. We'll see him in a couple races this weekend. To give you an idea of how good that is, Tavon Kitchen has the second fastest time in the country this year at 14:24.05. So basically a minute back of Danny Simmons.
Well, and as you said it, we don't run a lot of 5,000 meters. We run a little bit indoors, and then we'll have a couple of these outdoor meets. So yes, he ran super fast, but I think we're going to see some fast times tonight.
Riley Huff is the meet record holder from Fenton, Michigan, 14:21.81. 2022 was when he set that mark. And our favorite, Balowitz, currently in fourth with the headband. Jackson Shodell of Pennsylvania is the early leader.
Well, Jackson is coming off of winning that 3,200 at the Pennsylvania State Outdoor Champs. He's also the defending state cross-country champ, so you know that he's got some good strength, he's got that endurance, but also has some speed from being on the track. So that mixture is always such a great thing to have. He talked a lot about in cross-country learning how to control himself, like having enough confidence to be able to go with the leaders or to actually push the pace like he is here. So trying to run different ways in his cross-country season seems to be helping, and you know, I'm sure he's a little bit surprised to not have the entire group or a couple guys with him.
So 69 seconds for the first 400 after running 32 for the first 200. So he has slowed it down. A little bit of excitement, I guess, probably did that. Through 600 meters in 1:42. So right now that would give them a 5,000 meter pace of about 14:10, which of course would be well within the meet record and would be the second fastest time in the country this year. But we know that the pace will probably significantly slow down a bit. There's Balowitz in second. He would be the favorite in
You
my
know,
book to win this race.
well, Balowitz is running very well, but so is Adam Kinston. He is a guy that we have to talk about. I mean, he's from Pennsylvania as well, and he gets to run against some pretty well-known guys in the state of Pennsylvania. You know, Drew Griffith, we saw race last night, but we also saw him race last weekend and weekends before that, where he's just run so well, and Pajak right there with him. So there's a lot of guys in Pennsylvania that are just crushing it, and Adam Kinsley might be that, or Kinston, excuse me, might be the new name.
Also, let's not sleep on Matthew Giardina. Giardina, the New Hampshire state champion at 3,200 meters. He's run 9:04.12 this year. He's another guy that could factor into this race. Balowitz looks comfortable taking on the pace-setting duties.
Colin Whitaker, I got to meet a little bit during the cross-country season. He was 37th in December in San Diego, and he said one of his toughest workouts that he really likes is he'll do a mile, and then he finishes up with 6 by 800. So he likes to run a hard mile and then to come back and still get another, which a lot of us have done just 6 by a mile for a workout. And he likes to do that. He says that's one of his hard ones. A couple other fun tidbits. He likes baked ziti. He wants to meet Eliud Kipchoge. He also just loves to spend time outside and obviously loves to run.
We're running about 14:30 pace as the pace has dropped down. First couple laps in 70 seconds. This most recent lap in 71. Shodell, your Pennsylvania crew, running 2, 3, and 4. Whitaker, Shodell, and Kingston. Giardina, gentleman we mentioned, currently in 5th. Joey Carroll of Hebron in 6th. Grady Len, the 10th grader from Wisconsin, in 7th. But it's a very comfortable pace. And you can tell because there's a number of people that are up near the front. You can always tell if the pace is fast if everybody's running single file or if there is separation. But in this particular case, just about everybody that started this race is in that lead pack.
Well, and a lot of these athletes, like we've said, don't get to run the 5,000 very often. So it always is fun to see what kind of times and who gets a PR next to their name because they don't see it all the time. But we're looking at Adam Kinston. We've been talking a little bit about him. He's the guy in those pink arm sleeves. And I guess they're becoming now his new lucky thing. Like, it's not cold out tonight. He doesn't need those arm sleeves, but those are his new superstition. Or his new superstition. And so he's loving that. He said he liked the way they look, and now they become his good luck charm.
Well, and Simeon Birnbaum would sported that look as well in high school. That's Giardina, by the way, with the headband running on the outside. As I kind of mentioned in the last race, I don't know why anybody wants to run lane 2 in any sort of distance race. There's plenty of room to tuck in and not have to run that extra distance. But, we see it time and time again.
I often wonder, though, if a lot of these younger athletes, and even as a pro, I didn't like to be kind of stuck in there. I got antsy. It almost made me a little bit more nervous. But again, a lot of these athletes don't run this race, but they also don't run in these huge packs. So they're nervous about that. They don't want to fall. They don't like hearing people breathe. So I just wonder if it's just learning how to race. And that's what this race does for athletes. You get them out there and they experience different types of racing.
That's very true. I lament the NCAA where we have all of these races that are time trials and not real competition. This is a real competition. There's no rabbits. A national championship means something. And so to have the strategic wherewithal, like you watched how Elliott Cook ran the 1,500 meters at both the Pac-12 championships and the NCAAs. That's a guy that's got a strategic brain, and Joe Wascom as well. It's not about the fast times. It's about running the smart race. And at that level, everybody can run fast times, but can you run a smart race? So we're going to find out who the smart racers are in this one. And Balowicz just kind of comfortable, just kind of gliding along. He's run 3 laps at 70, 2 laps at 71, running that 14:30 tempo. Again, for a guy who's never run a 5K before, it seems to know what he's doing. At last lap, another 71. Shodell in second. Andrew Wilcox from Ohio, who we haven't mentioned, the senior, he's in third. Colin Whitaker in fourth. Grady Len, the 10th grader from Wisconsin, in fifth. Joey Carroll from Hebron in sixth. Giardina with the headband in seventh. And a lot of lane
Well,
two
it's
runners.
interesting. Yeah, and looking at Adam Balowitz's, some of his stats from the year, he really didn't start racing until May. He had a bit, it almost looks like maybe he had a little something going on indoors. All of his results come from May. There's nothing in April, there's nothing in March. So he's coming into shape in the right time. He just ran 8:56.95 for 2 miles on May 30th. So that's pretty awesome.
Well, in that last race, too, the 9th grader, Paige Shepard, that was her first race as anchor leg and ran a 4:53. The second fastest split behind Rachel Forsythe's 4:41. We know Paige Shepard is a huge talent, and it's nice to see her back on the track. And there does seem to be a little bit of separation. Again, not through an increase in tempo, but now Wilcox goes into the lead. Balowicz doesn't seem the worse for wear. Looks like Alex Jordan from Virginia also moving up, and we've got an injection of tempo. This is the first major break of the race. And Wilcox really going for it. Balowicz looks comfortable in second. You're curious to see what this lap ends up being.
Well, it's always interesting to see when an athlete wants to just get out and just kind of get into that rhythm. Sometimes if you're holding back, it almost is harder to run. It tires you out a little bit more. And this looks like he feels a little bit more efficient here. His stride looks a little bit better, but did he go a little too soon? I don't know. We still have quite a bit of running to go.
Yeah, I concur. Now, he has a 5,000 from last year, which he ran in 15:38.94, but he struggled at his state meet. He was only 17th, the Ohio State meet. After winning his region in 9:06, he ran 9:28.74 at his state meet. So that could have been a tempo miscalculation as well. But he looks pretty good here. And that last lap that he threw in, 67.5, that's pretty swift, to say the least. That's the fastest lap by 3 seconds, and he did it with 1,600 meters or a mile to go. So to your point, Carrie, was it too much too soon?
Well, the pack is now reacting, and they are starting to close in a little bit on him. They let him go for just a little bit, which is smart. They didn't panic, but now they're starting to close back in, and we'll have to see if Wilcox can regroup. I think that's the hardest thing as an athlete, is to regroup when you have a pack come back on you. And when you can mentally get through and have those kind of breakthroughs, they are so good for you to be able to continue moving up in the sport, to see that you can handle the adversity out on the track while the race is still going.
So 3 laps to go. That lap slowed down to a 72, which meant he ran the fastest lap of the fastest leader lap and the slowest leader lap on back-to-back laps. So he went from 67 to 72. Prior to that, the slowest leader lap had been 1:11.87. And Balowicz looks so comfortable in the all green in the second. He hasn't changed his facial demeanor one bit since he went out. And now Balowicz is going to overtake Wilcox for the lead. And Wilcox may be toast at this point after trying to make that surge. We'll see.
I like it right now,
others
though.
up there?
Wilcox is trying to fight through. He's right back there where he needs to be. It was good because he could maybe feel that he needed to keep the pace going. When you have the guys coming behind you, you don't want to slow too much and clip anybody up. So that was a good move for him to try to get back on. Now he's starting to lose a little bit of distance, though.
So just talking pace here a little bit, Carrie. They went through 3,000 in 8:51. So they're right about on 14:40 pace. Now, Balowitz ran a 1:10:59 on that last lap, and Colin Whitaker going right with him. And also moving up is Nolan Sutter from the great state of Minnesota.
Well, Colin Whitaker ran well at the Penn relays. He ran a 4:24, but then he does have that 4:13 from indoors. So, maybe not what he was expecting there. He broke 9 minutes last week in the full 2 miles. So it's not the 3,200. He ran 8:57 over 2 miles. So that's encouraging for him coming into a race like this tonight.
So it's Balowitz, Whitaker, Wilcox still hanging in there, Sutter, and actually now we've got the whole gang. We've got 7, including Giardina with the headband, and kind of everybody in the mix here. We've got 1 lap to go, and back into the lead. Well, guess who it is? Andrew Wilcox. Wilcox back in the lead. I would never thought I'd see that after that 67 to 72. Boy, he had a bad patch but recovered. So it is Wilcox, Whitaker, and now moving up. That is that Shodell that's moving up?
I think so.
So it's a Donnybrook. It's an all-out scrum here in the final lap. Giardina going into lane 2. And it looks like Nolan Sutter there in second. And Nolan Sutter going to the arms. And look at Nolan Sutter. Body going every which way. And Nolan Sutter's going to take this thing with a great last lap. Breasts the tape. Nolan Sutter in 14:36.44. Last lap 62 for the senior. Whitaker second in 14:37.92. And Wilcox third, 14:38.29. Giardina finishes fifth. Shodell finishes sixth. Balowitz, our early leader, fell way down the leaderboard. He ran almost a 72nd last lap, finished ninth. And Riley Huff's meet record of 14:21.81 is going to live another day or another year. But a nice 62-second close by Nolan Sutter.
Well, he's got to be pleased with that. He's had a really nice season. He's had a couple new PRs. He's run 157, 411 for the 1,600 meters. But to say tonight is a really big race for him. For him to be able to crack the tape, also call himself a national champion, running 14:36 and closing. I think the most impressive thing tonight is that he closed in that 62. He fought hard, he ran smart, tactically it was a really good race, and he'll go home and watch this and be proud of himself.
Again, that's championship level racing, Carrie. He kept himself out of trouble. And then when he needed it the most, summoned a 62-second kick at the end.
Yep. Well, he is a state champion. He
now,
knows how to win
is he
these
the most artful runner we've ever seen?
He was going for it, Tom. He didn't care what he was looking like. He was grinding it out, and look at that, crossing the tape like that. But like I said, he's a state champ. He knows how to win in championship-style races, and here he is. Doesn't matter what it looked like. He's got the title.